again, thank you for coming. Yeah, sassy. Thank you to all. I know that it takes a lot to get up here and subject yourself to us. So we're going to start. Briefly, could you just actually start from this direction and then go that way and introduce yourself really quick?
Okay.
Not like your bio, but just like your name.
All right.
Social security number, credit rating.
154. I'm just kidding. My name is Paige Chauvin, and I am running for LISD Place 3. It's very nice to be here tonight. Thank you for the invitation to come out. I got involved in LISD back in 2007, back during the 2008 bond election. Have stayed very active throughout that time. I know very familiar smiling faces in here tonight, so thank you guys for coming out to support. My husband Rick is in the back. He's the tall guy, you can't miss him. He and I have been married for 12 years, and we have 2 daughters. Elizabeth is 11 and Kara is 8. Elizabeth is in the 6th grade and Kara is in the 2nd grade, so we'll be around for quite a while. Very vested in the district and what's going on and the exciting things that are changing and the direction that the district is headed. So we're very excited about that. And there's my 15 seconds, so I will move out of the way. Thank you guys.
We're going to dance with the chord all night.
Yeah.
I don't need that. My name's Mark Welding. I'm running for place 3 of LISD. I've lived in this area since 1998. I've had my own business for the last 15 years. I've been involved in a lot of stuff in the community. You can read in my bio in there, so I'm not going to go through all that with you. My wife Andrea is here, and my stepson Zach. She teaches at Camey Elementary in the county, and my stepson also goes to school out there. Excited to serve the community in one other way. I think I can give a lot back to the kids. And my big thing is I'm for the whole district, and I'm here to support the kids and basically make the kids' future a better one for them by serving LISD. Thank you.
Ready for me? My name's Chris Vaughn. I'm running for place 4 in LISD. And you can read my bio in there. Very interesting person, I guess. I don't know. You'll find out. My husband's over here, Trent. We've been married almost 23 years. What you're going to find out about me through the bio and through the limited time that we have to kind of explain things to you is that I've been around for over a decade, helping in the district, helping with children through Texas PTA and National PTA. This isn't a new thing for me. It's a natural step for me. I've been on 54 of our campuses already and worked with a lot of the staff and teachers. And it's a great place, and I just love to serve. And I'm a uniter. I've led a lot of projects, and I'm happy to serve. I'm willing, and I'm diligent, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about myself tonight.
All throughout the state of North Carolina, in the room where they have school board meetings, they have a sign in every school board room that says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." I'm running for school board place 4 because I believe that school boards and all nonprofits need strong, disciplined, experienced leadership. I have that leadership, and I've seen the difference all across the country, as you can see from my bio. And there's a marked difference between districts that have that leadership and districts that don't. The student performance and the overall health of the district is generally affected. I'm running for school board to ensure we have that leadership.
Hi, my name is Brenda Latham. My husband is back here at the back. We've been married going on 26 years. My mom and dad are here tonight, along with my poor little niece who got drug along. She'll learn something. I currently serve on the board. This is a passion of mine. I have a vested interest in this district as I'm a product of LISD, as is my husband and all of my children and my siblings and lots more. I think LISD is leading the way in transforming education, and we are very fortunate to have a strong leader in Dr. Waddell to lead us in that transformation. It's beneficial for our children who are going to benefit from a school district like none other. There's a lot of changes that have happened in the last 2 years, and they're significant, and I hope we'll be able to go over some of those tonight. But thanks again for the Republicans for hosting this tonight and for everybody coming.
And I'm Ryan Collinsworth. I want to thank y'all for hosting this. I really do appreciate having you here. I'm running for place 5. I've been in the district now for 38 years, been in this area. Family's been here forever. So my mom's here, she's a school teacher, grandparents, school teachers. So we've been around for a long time. That's not the only reason I'm running. Vested interest in the district, not only because of our district, because also this is where I sell. I'm a local real estate broker, so it's a very vested interest in making sure that we have very strong schools, because after all, that also improves our home values. So there's a twofold. I actually have a very dedicated interest in here because I want us to have the strongest school district possible. Because after all, I grew up here. I love this place. I don't think my parents would have been in this district as long as they have been if they didn't believe in this as well. So thank y'all so much.
Okay, thank you. We are going to ask you a few questions. One of the things that we discussed was that we were not going to go down and make each person answer it. So I'm going to preface this by asking the question. If there's some of you that, for lack of a better explanation, want to raise your hand, then I'll take that one. We can do that, or I can just call on you randomly if I feel like you're not paying attention in class, need your name called. So if for some reason you'd like to jump in after the question and like to add to or enhance someone's answer and give us your thought process, please feel free to do so. The first question presented is, what are the proper roles of the Texas Education Agency and the State Board of Education in guiding local and public schools?
Can I take that?
Can I get a clarification?
Sure.
Are we talking about the role of the Texas Education Agency as it should be under a properly built educational system, or the role under our current educational system?
I would say current, and if you'd like to enhance that answer after Paige jumps in, then I think you would be most advantageous to do so.
All right, well, I actually did my homework because Richard sent us these questions beforehand, so thank you, Richard. And I went to the TEA website and to the State Board of Education's website to see what are their missions and goals and what do they say that their roles are. So what I knew this, but just to clarify, the State Board of Education adopts the policy and sets the standards for the school districts. And then TEA provides the tools. They have the money, they have the curriculum, and they have the accountability to oversee those policies that the State Board puts into place.
Okay. Jared?
Under a properly constructed school system, there would be no need for TEA. That's my personal belief. Under our current school system, TEA is a reality, and the role of TEA really is the only purpose they exist for is to provide for districts the things for which they cannot provide themselves. That's it. That's a pretty limited scope, and you're talking about things such as overseeing and administering the rule of law, ensuring there's justice there. You're talking about things such as providing thought leadership and the dissemination of resources for school districts that they could not provide for themselves, such as best practices or other things. And then you're also talking about ensuring districts have equal rights. Not equal things, equal rights.
Thank you. Anyone else? Brenda?
I actually took this question a little bit different, and what was my opinion that the State Board of Education and the TEA should be. So it is, the State Board of Education is basically the school board for the state, and they are elected officials. I would personally like to see the Commissioner of Education also elected by the people rather than appointed. It's also my opinion that the Texas Education Agency, while it is the administrative unit for the State Board of Education, I think that it oversteps the bounds that we originally intended for that administrative unit to have. I think they should serve as the administrative function for the State Board of Education. I think they should monitor school districts for compliance with federal and state laws. Administer the data collection from all the different public school districts within Texas so that we have data that we can use to report and use as metrics and reporting. Conduct research, informational type reports and programs. Serve as the fiscal agent for the distribution of state and federal funds. That's another one of their roles. Manage the textbook adoption process, but with input from all of the school districts. I'm not a big fan of how that's done right now. And administer a meaningful assessment program at a statewide accountability system. So that's my opinion on what those functions should do.
Thank you, Brenda. Yes.
I want to just kind of add on to what Brenda was talking about, this meaningful assessment. I helped found a group called Speak Up for Texas Public Schools last fall. I'm not sure if all of you are aware of what our students currently have to do and the tests that they have to take in order to be advanced in the grade or even to graduate from high school. Currently, high schoolers have to pass 15 tests in order to get a diploma. And we have been advocating very heavily. I've been to Austin several times, calling weekly, having community forums, educating people about the expense. And we actually want meaningful assessment, but what's happening right now in our state and what the legislators are debating right now is going to make a big impact on our students. So I'd love to talk to you more about it afterwards if you aren't sure what's happening.
This is kind of my opinion on the TEA too. They do set rules and regulations for the school districts, but the way that they do it is not realistic. I mean, they give you like one plan and say all the districts got to use it. That's just not realistic. I mean, they've taken over local control of our school districts, and we need to gain that back. It's just, it's crazy how much paperwork that you have to do. One example is in special ed, they have to do all this paperwork because of the requirements of the TEA. And so they're taking time away from the students because they got to fill out all this paperwork. I mean, we have to get control back of our own school district. We can run our school district, and most school districts can run themselves. It's the TEA's job to make the rules and the regulations and make sure that we follow them. They can't give us unrealistic expectations, and that's what they're doing. They've basically taken over all the school districts in the state of Texas, money-wise and everything. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
And I'm not gonna go through everything that they just got through saying. It's one more level of red tape. It's one more administrative thing that we could actually cut out. So whenever it's funded by federal and state money. So that's one more thing that now we're having to finance there too. So if we already have one level, why do we have another level that has to oversee the other level? It's more bureaucracy over and over and over again. One more level of red tape that we could do without that actually could put monies back into the schools.
Thank you. I'm going to jump down to what is on our list, number 3, just to dovetail on what you're saying about paperwork. How can school districts reverse the 40-year trend towards larger administration staff relative to teaching staff? Brenda, you're the first hand up. Thank you.
No, I love this question.
Give me a second.
Part of the changes that we've made over the last 2 years in LISD have made significant changes in that. Had to write this down so that I didn't miss anything. For example, in 2011, we hired Dr. Waddell. Upon hiring Dr. Waddell, he is the only employee that the school board actually manages, okay? So the school board gives their direction to their employee. This is how we want to see this district managed. In 2011, we went from 1 superintendent and 11 assistant superintendents to 1 superintendent and 5 key leadership positions. They're no longer called assistant superintendents, and there was a reason for that. This structure at the very senior level of central administration is more of a corporate structure, and it is being passed throughout the entire central administration organization. We have already reduced the size of central administration by 14%. This is still trickling down. So how do you keep from getting back to where you were, where you're a top-heavy organization? Anybody in here own a business? I do. And the top level of the organization is overhead, right? They make no money, they just cost money. So anytime your overhead gets too high and it's affecting your income, that's the first place that you have to look. And it's the board's duty to keep on top of that and to manage that district and to manage that one employee that they do have oversee of, and that is the superintendent to prevent central administration growth from creeping up back up on them again to keep more money in the classroom. Thanks.
Mark?
LISD's already accomplished that. I mean, basically and I called on this, and the central administration is only 3% of the total budget. So, I mean, they have accomplished cutting. I mean, the question for me is, have they cut too much? I mean, you need support staff to support the teachers and the kids throughout the district. I mean, if you can cut and cut and cut, and I have my own business too, and if I cut so much, we can't function properly. So I guess the question would be is, it's great to be at 3%, but is it realistic over time? I don't think so. I mean, you have to keep a certain level of administrative staff to support the teachers and the kids throughout the district. That's just my opinion on it. Thanks.
Anyone else like to comment on that?
Well, if nobody else is. So a few years ago, a man named Ron Huberman took over the Chicago public school system. It's the third largest school system in the world. He took that school system over and cut the central office staff by over 50% and saw no measurable or statistical difference in student achievement, building outcomes, or anything else you can actually measure in schools. Some people got mad, the unions of course got mad, but there was no measurable difference. The key here is not the increase, decrease in that. One of the reasons school districts have grown, or central administration has grown, or roles like that have grown, let's think about it. Over the last, I know the question's at 40 years, but even over the last 10 years ago, did you need things like instructional designers? Did you need an IT staff that was specialized in fixing iPads or mobile technology? Well, no, the central office has grown by need. The key is having the experience and the leadership to make the tough decisions, not the easy decisions, the tough decisions, the right decisions, and knowing what the effect of those decisions is going to be. Having the vision to know if I make this step, this is going to happen 2 years down the road. To Mark's point, making certain cuts are going to hurt the district, making other cuts are not. Having the experience and leadership to know which cuts are the right cuts, which cuts aren't, that's the difference.
Actually, Jared, I wanted to give you a little bit more insight. 10 years ago, we did have a technology support staff, and it was rather large. Last year, we cut the support staff by almost 50% by going to virtual desktop support, which is pretty much what everybody who works here has. You call in to a help desk, and they can log into your PC through their tools, and they can help you then. If they can't fix it that way, then they go to the campus. Again, this was another cut that we were able to make at the central administration office to allow us to not have to cut at the classroom level, and we're functioning just fine.
Anyone else? Paige?
Well, a few years ago, I was in a meeting with a representative from TE that worked with TEA. And at that point in time, our district was at about 6% central administration cost, and which was below what I heard our previous administration say it many times. We're well below what the state requirement is, and they were right. The state requirement is closer to 9% for what they required for a district our size. However, the statement that caught me is when she then went on to say, but the average central administration cost in the state is 2.8%. So yes, we were well below, but we were nowhere close to what the average statewide was. So I'm very proud of our district for making those cuts and getting us back in line with what the average is across the state.
And I would say, yeah, we have cut quite a bit. But when you stop cutting and making sure that you have effective people in there, I don't think it's necessarily going to go back to have we cut enough. Do we have the right people in place? Are they the most effective people we can have? Are they getting results that we need? And are they measurable? You know, that's, I think, the biggest thing is what we need to look at is if we have effective teachers, we have effective administrators, most of this wouldn't be that big of an issue.
Actually, when we decreased our technology support staff by 50%, we increased our response time by over 70%. If you called in, you had a technical problem, it could be 3-4 days or weeks before they got to you. And we've cut that time down significantly. And we actually spent $70 billion, Lord help me, $70 million on the 1-to-X. 1-to-X means one to many. 40 million of that was the infrastructure. The infrastructure is the guts behind the handheld devices or the laptops. It's the servers, it's the communication lines, etc. And actually, I'm impressed that they actually had that system up and running because it was one step up from dial-up. I have a technology background, and when I toured the server room, my mouth just went. It was pretty incredible. So we have spent a lot of money and a lot of time getting that infrastructure updated. We have spent money on iPads to put the devices into our students' hands. That's a rollout over 3 years. And I do support it. And here's why. We're trying to create a 21st century learning environment. We're trying to transform education for our students. Their world does not look like my world or your world. It looks very different. Their world will contain very little paper. Everything in their world will be technology driven. Their world is a global world. Our world now is a global world. So what we're trying to do is not only engage them, but with the technology also allows them to increase their creative and critical thinking skills. Creative skills by being able to collaborate with other students, not only in their classroom, but around the world. And I encourage you to go to lisd.net and click on the 1-to-X link there and see some of the terrific things and creative things that these students are working on, because it will blow your mind. And it's not just a handheld game that they play on all day. It's not just how they send, text messages to their friends and whatnot. They truly are implementing this and integrating it with their lessons.
Mark?
First of all, I'll say that I am for 1-to-X, even though it does cost a lot of money. I do believe that our kids need that technology in the school. It is the wave of the future. What I don't want to happen is the computer cannot take the place of the teacher. It just can't happen. You still need the teacher in there giving instructions. The iPad or the computer, whatever you want to call it, is an aid to that instruction. I mean, the thing that I get concerned about is the interaction of students and teachers. I mean, I see it in my own 9-year-old that he plays the iPad, plays everything all day long, and he has a hard time interacting with people. And so that's the one thing that I am concerned about, is that the teachers have to be there still, and you have to interact with students. So the iPad is a great idea as a product with the teacher. And the final thing that, and I've said this at other forums before, the curriculum has to be on those computers or those iPads to make them work. And if the curriculum's not on there, it's going to be a failure. It really is going to be a failure if they don't have the curriculum on there. They're talking about taking the books away and putting them on the iPads. That's all great, but we got to have the textbook people on board to put that stuff on the iPad. So as long as all this stuff is integrated, it's great. But we have to take it slow, and make sure everything is integrated with it. Thanks.
Me? I understand apprehension with this, and I've talked to a lot of people across the district in the last several weeks about it. And it's funny, a funny thing, I was watching the 80s series on, I'm not sure what channel it is, but it was like showing the highlights of the 80s, which was a great decade, by the way. But it showed the, cassette tapes, and when it was such a big deal to have the portable CD player. And so it was shocking to see the typewriter, shocking to see how we came from then. And I was sitting with my kids, and they couldn't believe how archaic that was. So really, it is our responsibility as a district to prepare our kids for what's ahead of them. And it's hard. I know it's hard. I've heard people say, well, they don't know how to write cursive. Well, they maybe will not be writing cursive when they're older. Who knows? But I want to assure you that I understand that it's a little uncertain at times, but it's what we need to do for our kids. And when I was on the beginning of the strategic design team, we sat there for 2 days, 12-hour days, developing the vision and mission and the goals for our kids and for our district. And that was a big part of it, technology, because we need to have that flexibility so that they can have flexible learning environments. So,
Paige, and then Jared.
Since Dr. Waddell has been here, he has put in 2 pieces of policy that I stand behind 100%. The one is bring your own technology to school. The second one is the 1-to-X. Bring your own technology means that if I'm using my smartphone at home, I can take that same smartphone to school and I can work on it there. I love that. Same thing for your tablets and your laptops and anything that harder to bring a desktop, but anything that's portable, you can bring it to school. I love that theory. The 1-to-X means that if you need a smartphone, or you need a tablet, or you need a laptop, or you need a desktop, that's going to be available to you, okay? So because right now we're using smartphones, but when we get to the car and we need something, we'll pull out our iPads, or we get to our meetings, and then we'll get to our laptops and we'll transfer it over. We do this every day in our real life world. The children need to learn how to do that so that when they're in real life, they'll be able to do it as well. Love that concept as well. The one thing that I'm having a hard time digesting is how an iPad fits into that category for every child to bring to school and for every child to need right then, right there, okay? The other thing I'm having a hard time digesting is the district is spending $400 per iPad times 52,000 children. Do the math real fast, it's a little over $20 million of that $30 million that's going towards what's going into the schools is strictly on those iPads. Again, some children need iPads, I get that. I would have much rather seen a product where we could have rented or leased those iPads as parents, similar to what we do the band instruments, and you would have a choice whether or not you wanted that technology or not. They're planned to last for 3 years. If you take that $400 and you divide it out across 3 years, that's a very affordable a payment for most everyone in our district, and I'm even willing to do a discounted plan for those that fall on the free and reduced. I'm willing to do that. Then at the end of that 3-year time period, that technology becomes yours to keep. You've paid for it, it's yours. So I'd much rather have seen that. The district then doesn't, they have the upfront cost of rolling that out, but they don't have the overall cost. So it's a recurring. And then 3 years from now, the current plan says that the district's gonna get all these iPads back, and let's face it, how obsolete is that going to be? How many boat anchors are we gonna be trying to dispose of at that point in time? So I would have much rather seen a plan where the parents had the option to buy it and and then own it at the very end. The other thing we have to be careful of is, and I've seen this at our 1-to-X school over here in Downing, that the app programs for the Apple, teachers didn't make sure that they were compatible for the Androids. So for those kiddos that opted to follow the bring your own technology and to bring their own Android technology into class, they were struggling at the very beginning to do their homework and do those programs because the technology wasn't compatible. So we really need to work in the technology department to ensure that those applications are fair and equitable for whatever you decide to bring to school, because that's what the policy says after all.
Jared?
Yeah, I'm a huge supporter of technology. Our world has fundamentally changed. If you think about it, our current high school students right now grew up not knowing a world without internet, instant access, computers, mobile technology. That's what they know, that's what they do. As they get out into the world, we now compete in a global economy. We need to prepare those students. We need to arm them with the critical thinking skills they need, then give them the interpretive and analytical competencies they need to use that technology as a tool to then apply what they're learning to real world problems so they can go out and be the best. That only strengthens our economy, as Ryan was saying, but that also does the best for our students here in LISD.
About the 1X program, I'm on the bond committee, and we talked about this last night at our meeting. And the 1X program is an opt-out program. If you want your child to opt out of it and bring their own device, they can do that. So they don't have to buy the school device. It's an opt-out program. And the question I had for them was, is it going to function like the one that the school gave them? And they said there would be a few applications that they would not be able to get on their own device. And so that could pose a problem, but it is an opt-out program. Your student does not have to take it.
Okay. Last question that we have actually that has been posed to y'all previously. What is your position on letting qualified school personnel carry weapons in school? Weapons is not defined, but I'm just going to say guns. So, again, what is your position on letting qualified, we're going to qualify that word, meaning that they've gone through the training necessary according to state and federal regulations to carry a concealed handgun into schools?
I'll go first. Unless Mark, I think
Let's
Mark
let Mark
beat
go
me.
first.
Mark beat me.
We'll opt out of the ladies first for just a second.
I'm not for all teachers carrying handguns or whatever kind of weapons that you have. We have SRO officers in the high schools that go to some of the middle schools. I am for them having handguns. Our school system has a very good security system. They have controlled entrances, and I understand that not all entrances at the high school are probably controlled, but they're supposed to be controlled. And my feeling on this, and I've said this before, is that you can't stop crazy. You really can't. If somebody wants to come into my office and kill everybody, they're going to do it, whether I got a handgun or not. It's going to happen. So I'm for the Second Amendment. I think you should have your own guns and all that stuff, but I don't think it's the right thing to have them in school. You know, you get it in the hands of the wrong person. I know she talked about training and all that, but, you know, there's a lot of people that have training that use their gun the wrong way. And so I don't think we bring those guns and put those in front of our students. So, thank you.
Brenda?
I actually wrote down my answer. The safety program at LISD is way ahead of most school districts in this area. I know that y'all have all been watching the news and hearing what their safety plans are or are not and what they're lacking. All campuses in LISD have double entry doors that require visitors to go through a check-in process that also they have to swipe their license or some form of ID, and it does an instant background check on them. All exterior doors are locked to prevent entry, but you can still get out of them in case there is an emergency. There are hall monitors and video surveillance inside and outside all of our campuses that runs 24/7. There are interior locking devices. We do have uniformed police officers for security law enforcement at all of our secondary campuses. That means middle school and high school, with the exception when I just learned this at the Colony. But I am glad to say that we have now met with the Colony, and they too will have uniformed police officers at all of their campuses. Okay, Ms. Collinsworth? Ms. Collinsworth works in the Colony. Administrators recently met with representatives from the fire and police departments of all 13 communities that LISD serves. Went over our existing security plan, talked about any opportunities for improvement. It was such a great program or meeting that the police chiefs and the fire chiefs actually asked for this to be a repeatable meeting. So I believe they will be meeting multiple times every year to review the current security plan, any issues that have come up, or anything new and different that they think needs to be implemented. So we do partner with our police and fire in all the 13 communities that we service. My position is, like Mark said, you cannot prevent crazy and evil. You can put up bulletproof windows, and if a crazy person wants to come in there and do harm, they're going to. And a school is a great place because it's a gun-free zone. There's a sign on the window. So you know no one's going to fight back unless you have a uniformed officer there that can fight back for you. It's my opinion that we don't need such things in LISD because we do have a great program, but I would need to know what qualified means. I would not be for arming every single teacher or administrator or employee of the district that simply had a CHL. There would definitely have to be extensive training because you are dealing with kids. But again, I say, you cannot prevent crazy. You can prepare for it, you can pray that it doesn't happen, but you cannot prevent it.
Jared?
To their point, you cannot prevent crazy. Really, when you're talking about that issue, issues of guns in schools or violence in schools, you're talking about two different things. You're talking about prevention and you're talking about reaction. Prevention is doing everything you can to ensure that you're locking the doors, but as we saw in Newtown, locked doors didn't stop him. As we've seen in a number of other places, like yesterday, the tragedy in Boston, unfortunately that was less than a block from my old office there. That tragedy, there were cameras everywhere. What did they say today? We need more cameras. Because if a couple cameras didn't work, surely more cameras will work. That doesn't work either. You need to do all you can for prevention in terms of reaction to immediately stop violence and meet violence with requisite violence to stop it. You need people with guns. You need school resource officers. You need our brave men and women in uniform. You need police officers. You also need a policy that does allow qualified school personnel to carry their firearms on campus. Now, the term qualified, I'm actually against having any teacher with a CHL be able to carry. I believe there needs to be more training than just that. I took the CHL and I would love to see teachers go through a little bit more. And the strict reason for that is there are so many conditionally modifying factors that happen on campus, right? You're talking about a small teacher, a large student. You're talking about one-to-many, one teacher in a classroom full of many students. There are many things I would like to see, a more specific qualified training program, but that's it. We must allow our teachers to qualify and carry firearms on campus. All gun-free zones do is create more victims. They do not work.
I had the unfortunate opportunity to be involved in a shooting. I was a 9th grader in high school, and I walked, as I do every day, towards my first period class, and between me and where the back wall is over here, an insane student fighting over a girl brought a gun to school and took out 3 of his classmates. Thankfully, all of those students are still alive today. Thankfully, the shooter was taken down by our SRO officer who took 2 pops to the knee and ended up in the hospital that day. That story still brings tears to my eyes. Even today, before I came here and was hearing the Boston stories, I still get emotional over that. I was 14 years old and a gunshot was 25 feet away from me. I remember being thrown in the classroom and all of the emotions that go along with that. Because of that, and I hope that I'm the only one in this room that can share that story, but because of that, I am for SRO officers at all of our campuses. And yes, Brenda said they are at all of our campuses except for the colony schools. However, they're not at all of our campuses full time. And we need, if between the hours of 7:30 and 4:30, when those doors are open, we need to have security there to protect our students and to protect our staff. Again, when you talk about teachers having guns, I don't think that CHL is enough. I've heard one suggestion, and I would be for this. My sister is the police officer down in Bryan, and she went through some extensive training during police academy in order to be able to carry her weapon everywhere. I would be okay for that. If a teacher is willing to go through that training and to go through that, who am I to say no to them? If they feel that strong, now, would I be the teacher that carries the gun on campus? No, that wouldn't be me. But my sister would. So why would I stop my sister? Funny story, she went back to community college down to get her master's degree. She's going through a community college to get her master's degree, and she went to again, they have those little stickers that say gun-free zone. That just says, here, I'm a lone duck, come and get me. Those need to come off the wall. They just don't need to be there. They're not serving any purpose. They're not really anything there but decoration. Let's take those down. But my sister, she went into her class and there was a little sticker there. So she went as a police officer to the dean and said, I am a police officer and I will have my weapon with me. And he said, no you won't, we're a gun-free zone. My sister didn't like that answer. She went to her captain and said, Captain, I'm taking classes and I need to have my weapon with me. And the dean told me no. And his response was, put it in your backpack. Don't use it unless you have to. Don't make me defend this choice. Who are we to say the teachers aren't carrying guns right now anyway? If they had their CHL, even though the sticker's on the wall, it was in her backpack and nobody ever knew. So if we can give them the training and give them an encouragement, then I'm all for letting them have that.
Brian?
I'm not sure if the district doesn't know, but they do have an officer out at the colony. I've actually met him. You have 2, if I can remember correctly, 1 or 2. So they do have those out there full time. They've been out there for a good while. So it's actually kind of nice to have those people there. You're not trying to prevent crazy, you're trying to deter crazy. That's what it is. You're not going to prevent a whole lot of things. So with that said, do we arm every teacher? By no means. Do we arm certain people in the school and have them throughout the school? By all means. I think that's the best choice. Because the overall thing you're trying to do is be effective and deter those people from coming in, because there could be consequences if they do go in and try to do harm to the students. So I don't think it's necessarily trying to prevent it, because you can't prevent a lot of things, but you can try to deter it instead of being, you're trying to be proactive, not reactive.
Thank you. We're going to do closing remarks now, unless you have questions that have been submitted from the audience.
I do have one.
Okay.
You guys have 5
One
minutes.
question. What options do you prefer for helping kids in failing schools? I apologize, this is a multi-question here. What options do you prefer for helping kids in failing schools? Do you like charter schools for these children, vouchers, school choice within the school district?
Make it quick.
Yeah, that's a.
Ha ha ha.
I can answer.
Go ahead, Brenda.
Okay, I think the bottom underlying question on that question is, do you support vouchers and do you support charters? Charter schools, it depends. They're just like anything else. There's some really good ones, and then there's some ones that are not so good, and they're really a money laundering scheme. Vouchers, I don't have a problem with vouchers if the playing field is going to be equal. If the private schools are going to be held to the same mandates, state and federal, that public schools are going to be held at, fine. If the private schools are going to be held to the same standardized testing that the public schools are held to, fine. If the private schools are then going to be told you have to have this many of these kind of kids and this many of these kind of kids and this many of these kind of kids, okay, let's play ball. But if you're talking about a voucher that allows taxpayers to keep their money and take it to a private school versus a public school, but you're going to remain the same mandates on the public school, which by the Texas Constitution mandates that public schools educate every single person irregardless, and that includes their citizenship. Doesn't matter. If they're under the age of 16, we are required to educate them. Whether they speak English, Spanish, Burmese, Latin, doesn't matter. We have to educate them. So if you're willing to implement a voucher program that spreads these same mandates across all charter schools, all private schools, and public schools, I'll put our public schools up against them any day.
Jared?
Yeah, there's some core conservative values here at work that I believe in. One is the choice for parents and the market choice, and the other is the freedom of markets. Even when you try to regulate things, like trying to say they have to live by the same rules and things, there's always loopholes. For example, if I want a student to drop out of my charter school because I don't want to educate him, but the school district told me I had to, hey, he's truant 3 times, all of a sudden that violates state law, boom, he's back to the school he has to go to. Now I can get back to educating the kids that I want to. I don't believe in that. I believe simply by establishing choice, letting parents enroll their students where they want to, which would include vouchers, charters, or any other schools, that's the only way you're truly going to find, number one, high-performing school district. Number two, it's going to help you solidly identify the problem schools that you have and fix those problems because you can no longer ignore them. And then it's going to do something else. It's going to give the magic of choice to those parents. You started out the question with failing school. I tell you one thing right now, Griffin Middle School in the Colony is the school my son is slated to go to. My son will not attend Griffin Middle School. That school is not good enough for my child, and nobody's going to tell me that it is. So whether I make the choice of impacting policy in the state of Texas and making school choice something that the state does, or if I move or go about it some other means, that's not a choice I'm willing to make. Giving parents the choice so they don't have to be, I know here in Flower Mound is a big issue, busing their students an hour one way, or the district telling you, you have to do this or you have to do that. It's much better to give parents the choice.
Anyone else? Mark?
LISD currently, and even it's going to be well known next year, is that they currently do give a choice if they want to stay within the district. It's open enrollment, so if they fulfill all the standards, they can go to any school that they want to. But it has to be within LISD. I'm not for vouchers. I think in theory, they sound great, but in reality, they're not good. Why do I want to take our tax money and give it to somebody else? I mean, LISD is a great district that has great schools. You talked about Griffin. Of course, every school is not going to be equal, but that's why we're offering open enrollment. I mean, I'm not for vouchers taking our money and giving it to somebody else. We have a great school district, and I think everybody here knows that. They wouldn't have moved here if they didn't think we had a great school district. And so the open enrollment is for you there. So if you want to go to a different school, you can. And I'm not for vouchers.
Like 30 seconds. My concern with vouchers, similar to Brenda, it needs to be equal playing field. You need to provide food, transportation. What I'm concerned about is, we have it. It's probably not going to impact LISD as much, but if you think about Dallas ISD, they're going to get, say, $5,000 voucher. They're not going to be able to afford transportation to go to that private school. They don't have to be accepted. They're not going to be fed. They can't afford the uniforms. So it's not going to solve the problem of improving that particular school in Dallas. So let's spend our efforts and our energy improving the school. And the other thing that I wanted to say is our kids are not a business. And when you have competition, like a business, then the low performing or the losers, they get weeded out. And our kids don't deserve that. Our kids are not a business, so thank you.
Okay, we're gonna start with Paige and we'll do closing remarks.
Okay.
1 minute each, please.
Have to be very short, Mark and Paige.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Mark Welding. I'm running for place 3 at LISD. I just think myself as fair and reasonable. I'll listen to any argument, go do my research and make a decision. All decisions, probably not going to make you happy, but being on a school board, you have to make a decision when it ultimately comes down to it. I'm for the whole district. I'm not just for Flower Mound or Highland Village. I'm for the whole district. LSD encompasses 13 different communities, towns, municipalities, and all that, and I'm for every single one of them. LSD has to operate together. We can't just pick out one and say this is what we're going to focus on. We have to focus on all 13 communities. So once again, my name is Mark Welding, running for place 3 LISD. Thank you.
Paige.
I didn't have to answer that last question, so I'm going to take just a few seconds to go over that. I am probably the biggest proponent of school choice in this room. That's what I've been fighting for since 2007. That's what got me fired up in the first place. So I'm all for school choice. Someone mentioned that yes, we have open enrollment, but as we all know, that's only if there's an open seat. So that is a catch-22 there. As for my friend not going to Griffin Middle School, I actually spent the day there last week. I spent the day with the principal, and I would proudly send my child there. Yes, they have struggles there, but our children learn from those struggles. So I am not afraid to send my kid to any school in this district. My name is Paige Chauvin. I am running for place 3. I would love to have your vote. I would love to have your support. Feel free to find me afterwards. I'd love to answer your questions. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Elections are May 11th, as all of you probably already know. Please tell me stop.
Chris?
No, he goes first.
He goes.
It's reverse order. Quickly, I'll explain how competition works in schools, just to address that. If we allowed open enrollment, or your students had the choice to go anywhere, and all of a sudden every parent with the means and with the capability of pulling their students out of Griffin Middle School, what would happen? Would the district have any choice but to address that school and ensure it has everything else everyone does? No. You can't ignore that problem, and the problem would rectify itself. I'm Jared Bruckner. I'm running for place 4. I believe in conservative values, and I know that on a school board such as this one, as Mark stated, such a complicated school district that we have, you need disciplined, strong leadership that's going to make the right choice, not the easy choice or the choice led by personal involvement in other associations. You need to make the right choice. You need experience to make that choice. That's why I'm running for school board.
Chris.
My name's Chris Vaughn, running for place 4. Would love to serve and represent you. And if you would like to talk later or call me or email me, I'd love to meet because it's hard to get to know some things about me or if you have specific questions. I've been around for over a decade. I have experience in our district. I've been in classrooms. I've talked to administrators. I've worked with parents. And this is a great place. I'm not here because I'm complaining about something. I want to serve. And this is what I do. This is who I am. I don't get paid for this. This is not my job. I want to serve and I want to represent you. And I would appreciate your vote. And it's Chris Vaughn, place 4. Thank you.
Ryan.
Ryan Collinsworth, running for place 5. Appreciate y'all having us out today. Thank y'all so much. This is a great venue. The reason I'm running is because of the passion. The reason I'm also running is because of leadership. We need leadership to take the district back to where y'all want it. This is y'all's district. Y'all moved here because of the district. It's not because of what any of the administrators want. It's not what the school board wants. It's what the district people want. The kids, the teachers, as well as the parents that pay for it. So as a representative, that's what I bring, is the leadership. As a united, not a divider. So I think for the school district, we need somebody that actually is going to help lead the district in a new direction. So I'd like to get your support on that. I'm Ryan Collinsworth, running for place 5. Thanks.
And last but not least.
Again, I'm Brenda Latham, and I'm running for re-election LISD Board of Trustees, place 5. I don't think that this is a difficult thing if you're willing to roll up your sleeves and get to work. This is not a fluff job. This is not a board that you sit on just to put on your resume. There is a lot of work. I would say on a light week, I spend 20 hours a week.
The last several months since January with the rezoning in Flower Mound, I've worked a full-time job of about 40 hours, and I've put in about 40 hours after work on top of that. I do believe in LISD, and I know we have one of the greatest districts in all of Texas. Dallas Morning News just reported that. We have 2 of the top 10 schools in the state right here in Flower Mound. I do support our kids, I do support our teachers, and I support our central administration, even though there's less of them. I understand your tax dollars. I pay a private tax as well as a business tax. I know how to make a payroll. I appreciate your vote. Thanks.
Thank you.